In the darkest chapters of human history, one name stands above all others as the architect of chaos and destruction. Adolf Hitler, the dictator who plunged the world into unprecedented war, orchestrated battles and strategies that left millions dead and nations in ruins. Today we unravel the military mind of a man whose decisions shaped the fate of the world. Hitler's role in World War II. September 1st, 1939. The dawn of a new era of warfare. Hitler's Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, shattered the peace in Europe with its terrifying speed and precision. Using fast-moving infantry, tanks and overwhelming air support, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The world watched in horror as Poland fell in mere weeks, signaling the brutal efficiency of Hitler's military strategy and igniting the flames of World War II. Just months later, in the spring of 1940, Hitler turned his eyes westward. With the daring Ardennes offensive, German forces bypassed the heavily fortified Maginot Line, striking through Belgium and into the heart of France. In a matter of 6 weeks, Paris was under Nazi control and the Vichy regime was born. The world stood stunned by the swiftness of Hitler's conquest. But the Battle of Britain turned out to be a significant challenge for both sides. Hitler's Luftwaffe launched a non-stop bombing campaign aiming to destroy British morale and gain control of the skies for a planned invasion. This relentless assault, which included attacking military targets and cities, was meant to weaken the British people and set the stage for Operation Sea Lion, Hitler's plan to invade Britain. Despite the intense pressure and constant attacks, the Royal Air Force, RAF, stood firm. With the help of new radar technology, which allowed them to detect incoming enemy planes early, and a strong, unbreakable spirit, the RAF was able to fight back effectively. Their teamwork and the courage of the pilots and ground crews played a crucial role in stopping the Luftwaffe. The RAF, although outnumbered, used their resources wisely and demonstrated remarkable resilience. They managed to inflict heavy losses on the German bombers and fighters. As the battle dragged on, the Luftwaffe found it increasingly difficult to achieve their objectives. The British people also showed incredible determination, refusing to be cowed by the bombing raids. In the end, Hitler had to postpone Operation Sea Lion indefinitely. This marked his first major defeat and a significant turning point in the war. The successful defense of Britain ensured that it would remain a vital base for Allied operations, and it proved that the Axis powers could be resisted and defeated. On June 22, 1941, Operation Barbarossa began. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union became the largest military operation in history. Using Blitzkrieg tactics, the Germans initially achieved swift victories, rapidly advancing and capturing large territories. However, the vast Soviet terrain, coupled with harsh winters and fierce resistance, soon turned the tide. The German advance slowed as supply lines stretched thin and troops faced severe winter conditions for which they were unprepared. The Soviet Union, instead of collapsing, mounted a determined defense. By the time German forces reached the outskirts of Moscow, their progress had stalled. The harsh winter and resolute Soviet counterattacks pushed the Germans back, marking a significant turning point. Operation Barbarossa, which started with rapid successes, ultimately dragged Germany into a prolonged and grueling war of attrition. The quick victory Hitler had anticipated turned into a drawn-out conflict that severely strained German resources and contributed to their eventual defeat. In the winter of 1942, the Battle of Stalingrad marked a critical turning point in World War II. Hitler's obsession with capturing the city led to intense and brutal urban warfare. The fighting was fierce, with both sides suffering heavy casualties as they battled for control of the streets and buildings. Despite being encircled by Soviet forces, Hitler ordered his troops to hold their ground at all costs. The German Sixth Army, trapped and cut off from supplies, endured severe hardships. starvation, cold and relentless Soviet attacks took a devastating toll on the German soldiers. Ultimately, the encircled Sixth Army was decimated, leading to the first major defeat of Nazi forces. This defeat at Stalingrad marked a decisive shift in the war, turning the tide in favor of the Allies. The victory boosted Soviet morale and set the stage for a series of successful offensives against the Germans, changing the course of the conflict. On June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, the Allies launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history. Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy with immense bravery and determination. They faced fierce resistance from German forces, but continued to push forward, driven by meticulous planning and the need to liberate Europe from Nazi control. Hitler's misjudgments, including the underestimation of the invasion's location and timing, played a crucial role in the Allied success. The formidable Atlantic Wall, Germany's coastal defense system, crumbled under the relentless assault of the Allied troops. Despite the heavy fortifications, the Allies' coordinated efforts and overwhelming numbers proved too much for the German defenses. The success of D-Day marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Allied troops surged into Western Europe, liberating occupied territories one by one. The Normandy invasion was a turning point that led to the collapse of German forces in the West and significantly contributed to the ultimate defeat of Nazi Germany. The bravery and sacrifice of the Allied soldiers on D-Day paved the way for the liberation of Europe and the restoration of peace. In the final months of the war, Hitler's desperate gambles continued with the Battle of the Bulge. This last major German offensive aimed to split the Allied forces and was initially successful, catching the Allies by surprise and creating a bulge in their lines. However, the Allies regrouped and eventually repelled the German attack, inflicting heavy losses on Hitler's forces. As the war dragged on, Soviet troops closed in on Berlin from the east, while the Allies advanced from the west. Hitler's once mighty empire began to collapse under the relentless pressure. With Berlin surrounded and defeat imminent, Hitler retreated to his bunker beneath the city. On April 30th, 1945, facing the inevitable end, he took his own life, leaving his shattered empire to crumble. The world was left to rebuild from the ashes of war. Hitler's death marked the definitive end of Nazi Germany's reign of terror and the beginning of a new era of reconstruction and reconciliation. The Allies worked to restore peace and stability to a war-torn Europe, laying the foundations for a better future. Hitler's aggressive strategies initially brought significant successes, allowing Germany to expand rapidly and achieve early victories in Europe. However, these tactics ultimately led to catastrophic defeats that would reshape the continent and the world. His relentless pursuit of power resulted in unparalleled destruction, devastation, and loss of life on an unimaginable scale. The consequences of his actions were felt across the globe as millions suffered through war, genocide, and oppression. The lessons of Hitler's rise and fall resonate through history, serving as a stark reminder of the horrors of tyranny and the devastating impact it can have on humanity. Moreover, these events underscore the importance of standing up against oppression and injustice. The resilience and bravery of those who fought against Hitler's regime, both on the battlefield and in resistance movements, demonstrate the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of tyranny. As we reflect on this dark chapter in history, it is crucial to remember the sacrifices made to restore freedom and justice, ensuring that such atrocities are never repeated.
Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more historical content.